Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this episode, week 6. It is Saturday the 4th of May. It's about 7:10 this morning. We're about to do a 3-hour bike ride, and today is the last weekend of the first 10 weeks of training. We've done this cycle twice, so we're 20 weeks in, and next week it kicks up a gear regarding hours of training and intensity. Well, after this 3-hour bike ride, we're going to go through a few things that I've noticed over the last few weeks and a few little thoughts I've had about the training regarding health, whether it's healthy or not, and the impacts on other areas of life. So stick around, hopefully you find it interesting. Again, we'll get this bike ride done. It's 3 hours, got some drinks, pack of jelly babies, electrolytes, loads of water. So let's get stuck into this. Oh, that was good. Good and bad. It's just uncomfortable. The worst thing about it is the shorts again, like I said last time when I was walking down this hill. We've done 3 hours, about 70, just under 70 kilometers, so not too bad. The biggest thing is like cardio feels fine on it, but yes, these shorts, I need to get some new shorts. So if anyone's got any recommendations for cycling shorts that are made for like endurance type stuff, then I would be all ears to hear about it, because these are really uncomfortable. So before we get into the training next week, and obviously the stuff about deep health which we mentioned earlier, we're back up to training volume, which has been really nice. So regarding the running, we're back up to running volume and the legs feeling fine. So whether it's to do with the shoes or just that kind of rest and recovery type stuff we've been looking at, it's been really good. So I'm really chuffed with being back up to the running. And that means we've done the last 2 weeks, there's basically 3 runs a week, which are about an hour during the week, so twice in the week, which is an hour, and then last Sunday was an hour 15, and tomorrow's an hour and a half. So that's been really good. So I've been really chuffed about being back up to running speed and running volume, and the distance within the hour is just over 11k, and on the hour 15 one we did last Sunday, that was about 13. So tomorrow's probably about 15 to 16 kilometers, so I'll be chuffed about that. And then obviously say next week, starting from Tuesday, the training volume ramps up regarding intensity, building up some different speeds and things like that. So yeah, really looking forward to that. But let's have a little sit down over here, and we'll talk a bit about deep health and the impacts of the training in good and bad ways, and like pros and cons. And then yeah, I'd be quite interested to talk about this. So yeah, forget that, it's very sunny there, so we'll carry on walking. Might do my legs good as well. I've thought about this for the last couple of weeks really, because I have this kind of like guilty feeling about the amount of training I'm doing and the areas of life it's kind of impacting. I'm really enjoying being that feeling of fitness and feeling like heart and lungs feeling really conditioned, and I really like that my body's feeling decent as well, especially after the sort of leg little niggle. But it's a big commitment. It's a really big time commitment. I'm someone who, when I sort of think of something I want to do, I tend to go kind of not all in, but this one's quite a big financial commitment. Obviously it's quite expensive to sort of sign up to an Ironman. You know, buying a bike, the constant food that's like a full-time job eating, to sort of, you know, get the amount of calories and track calories and things like that. So the way I'm doing it's probably, so you suppose you could do it, you know, a little bit less than what I'm doing, but I think if you're going to sign up for something like this, you want to put I'm someone who wants to put their all into it really. But obviously that then comes at a price. So the concept of deep health then, so we talk to our members at the gym, like Gusto, about deep health. We've got kind of blog posts on it, we've got stuff on our members page about it, we put stuff, you know, for public about it, and there's basically 6 areas that encompass deep health, which I'll put somewhere on the screen. And these 6 areas, I say, encompass deep health, and it's having balance across all 6 to be as healthy as possible. Now what that means is, if you're excelling at one area, if you're maybe doing what I'm doing and doing, you know, 15 hours a week plus of training, and you're going to bed early because of the training, you're eating well to get the most out of your training, just know there's obviously going to be things in those other 6 areas that are going to kind of take a hit. You know, if you're putting all your eggs into, you know, training and nutrition, then there's obviously going to be areas of your life that are going to be sacrificed because there's so much time and effort going into that particular area. And that's something that's kind of crossed my mind recently. And and that's obviously with the base level of the program. So obviously going forward the next sort of 10 weeks and the 10 weeks after that, there's obviously the training volume kicks again, so there's more hours, so that's going to be a little bit harder, and I'm finding that I'm feeling a little bit guilty because of that, I suppose, because there's other areas that maybe I should be doing more in. So obviously that deep health concept encompasses, you know, physical health, obviously your nutrition, your training, that kind of stuff, the purpose, you know, there's existential, so obviously what's your purpose in life. So obviously, you know, that is obviously different for everyone, and there's other areas that obviously it kind of bleeds into. So generally if you're excelling at one thing, then other areas of those 6 or the other 5 are going to be sacrificed a little bit. So that's something that I found recently, trying to balance those 6 areas, or 6 kind of pieces to the puzzle of deep health. And I have thought that obviously the way I'm doing it is probably not the healthiest. I feel healthy, but actually there's other areas that are now you know, being sacrificed. So things like you know, going on a holiday for a week and sacrificing training, that's not really on the cards until after September. It's also silly things like, I suppose not silly things, they're quite big things in the grand scheme of things. I suppose everything evolves. What I'm finding is everything evolves around the training schedule. So obviously that's it's a big part of the week, so there's a lot of hours going into training. So I think at the moment, I think we've finished on 13 hours, and on the next start of the program it goes to like 15 hours, and then it ramps up on the very, very last time before the actual event. I think it finishes at 20 or 22 hours. That's a lot of training, a lot of planning, and obviously then that kind of, you know, there's no kind of downtime. It feels like a full-time job. So hats off to people who do this as a career, or do it as a real specialist hobby. I think there's a big financial thing, so it's a big commitment to sign up. I think it's like £600 to sign up for one of these things, and then obviously then there's, you know, practice events, half Ironmans, normal triathlon, standard triathlons, so they're all quite expensive. But that makes me think, well, it's a short-term commitment for me. I'm going to put all my kind of time into it. And luckily the people around me are really supportive. My parents, my family, people at the gym are asking me how training's going, and my partner as well, my girlfriend. So you know, me wanting to go to bed at, you know, 9:30 on a Friday or a Saturday, so I feel energized and I can put my effort into the sessions to get the most out of it. I want to feel like when I sort of stand on the start line ready for the swim, I want to feel like I've done everything I can at that point, to feel prepared and feel good. So but then that comes at a price. Those areas of deep health take a bit of a hit, but I know it's obviously a short-term goal, and it is enjoyable, and I'm really enjoying, you know, learning about new methods of training, incorporating and blending things that we do at the gym, regarding just, you know, strength training, conditioning, make sure that everyone feels healthy, putting that into my own routine, and then blending that with some things that are brand new for me. So that's really nice, and I'm really enjoying that. But it just got me thinking about that feeling of guiltiness, I think, comes from that element of deep health, and all my time is generally on that, the physical side of things, and not trying to let other things slip. But yeah, so if you're looking at doing one of these things, these Ironmans or big triathlons or big events, there is a time commitment to it, and just knowing that there's going to be areas of your life regarding that deep health, those 6 areas that are going to take a hit, and so obviously being okay with that. Before I did this, I spoke to my girlfriend and made sure she was okay with what I was going to do. Big time commitment, like I say, going to sleep, but actually it's bigger than I expected. It is bigger than I thought. And I think if you're going to do it, someone like me, you want to do it properly. You want to go in, and it's not just the training itself, it's the planning that goes into that. So it's the planning, you know, if you want to go out of the weekend and do stuff in the day, then obviously you've got to get up early to then do your 3-hour bike ride. That then requires, you know, getting to sleep on time, maybe not having any alcohol. There's all these things that kind of bleed into those other 6 areas, because that physical area of that deep health needs to be good. You can do these things obviously, you know, half-assed, I suppose, but I don't see why you would do that if you're taking the time to sign up and commit to this kind of big event. So yeah, it just got me thinking, obviously, more to do with guilt, like feeling guilty. Unfortunately, I've got a really good support network, so even people at the gym, they're interested in what I'm doing, and that feels really nice. And then the other people, I say, my girlfriend, my parents or whatever, my family, they all really supportive, so they understand what I'm doing. So it would be definitely a lot more difficult if I didn't have, I would go to say it's one of the crucial elements to making this thing work. However, because they're so supportive, yeah, I struggle with that guilt feeling. So, and I know it's obviously going to get a little bit harder as the training ramps up in hours. So, for example, I think one of the workouts I was flicking through on a Saturday in a few weeks' time was a 3 or 4 hour bike ride into like an hour and a half run. So that's the day gone, that's the Saturday gone. So things like that, where I think you've got to be okay with that time you've got to give to it. And I'm choosing to do the higher volume one. One, because I wanted to see, you know, how far I could push my fitness, how far I could push myself. But then obviously that then comes at a price of obviously those other 5 areas. So yeah, it was just a concept that I was thinking about the other day. So something to bear in mind if you're looking at doing one of these things. And you know, if you're okay with training, you know, 5 hours a week or whatever, that's fine. Then, you know, great work and sign up and doing that commitment. There's obviously the program I'm following. There's obviously there's 3 programs within that book. So there's like a just get through it program, which is, you know, minimal hours, but it's still a commitment. It starts at 5, I think it finishes on 12. There's an intermediate program, and I'm doing the sort of competitive one, which starts at 10 and finishes on 20 or 22 or something. So yeah, you can choose obviously how much time you want to give to it, and I'm fortunate that I've got that time I can give to it. But I mean, hats off to anyone who's doing this sort of thing with families and other big commitments and stuff like that. So yeah, that's yeah, say hats off to you if you're doing it. So and balancing, you know, work and family time and things like that. So something that I have really enjoyed, there's a ton of pros to doing this sort of thing. So I'm around sort of the same sort of people every day, regarding, you know, members in the gym, family, friends or whatever it might be. And then, but through doing new sports, that's built confidence in other areas of my life. And then it's also made me, you know, meet new people, which has been really, really nice. I've really enjoyed chatting to some of the old guys in the pool in between our sort of rest periods and stuff like that. That's really nice, learning about their background, them asking me questions and vice versa. It's also built my confidence a little bit as well. So, you know, confidence in your own ability, doing things that people probably don't want to do, that you're doing. I think that's a massive win for making, for building confidence. So I'd definitely say that's a really good thing for most people to do. Do things that maybe you don't fancy doing. That will, you know, that will build your confidence. So, but yeah, we've just obviously got a concept about deep health and obviously areas of life that kind of bleeds into and impacts and affects in positively or negatively. But obviously you're in a certain amount of control of that, given obviously how much you want to, you know, put into the sessions and train and stuff like that. So, but there could also be quite a few cons. If you're someone who, you know, likes to drink, likes a late night, likes a holiday a few times a year, I'd probably say I'd probably go as far to say that that'd be really difficult on this sort of program. And it does say in the book actually, if you miss more than 7 days, rethink the goal to actually whether you can do the commitment or not. So that's been in the back of my mind. So, you know, we're going away a few times this year, but I'm taking my running shoes, I'm taking my goggles. When I get a wetsuit, I'll take my wetsuit. So all these things where it's planned, like the train's in the back of my mind a little bit. We're going to Tenby actually. Me and my girlfriend are going to Tenby, which is where the Ironman is. And we're going there to sort of have a weekend break for my birthday, which is in a few weeks. But we're going to go there and I'm going to take my bike, my running shoes and cycle a bit of the course, run a bit of the course as well, and swim a bit in the sea, and just kind of see what the environment's like. So get a bit of a gauge of that, which is going to be really fun. But again, that little getaway is for a training purpose rather than a relaxing weekend. So yeah, that's all kind of planned around it. So just something to think about, that deep health concept. So I hope it helps. Anyway, I'm going to stop now because my arm is killing holding this camera. Checking out this next 10 weeks of training. The first 10 weeks we've just done was the base phase, where you're kind of building that aerobic base as a base level of fitness. This next one's called the build phase, so you're kind of building on top of that regarding duration and intensity. So for the intensity, it's going from just zone 2 work, so just kind of lower heart rate type work, to then building in some zone 4, so kind of higher heart rate. For me, I think that's about 172-ish, 173, I think, heart rate. So pretty intense. So the next week starts at 12 hours a week of training, and it goes through to 16 hours at the end of that 10 weeks, which is quite, you know, a lot of training. So I've never done that much training before, so we'll see how we get on regarding fatigue, sleep, calories, all that kind of stuff, which we're going to go through some calories hopefully next week. Swimming sessions go from 2 a week to 3 a week, so Tuesday, Thursdays, Fridays are swim sessions, and those also increase in duration in distance. So we've got they were 2,500 meters, they're now going to 3,000 meters, so 5,000 meters a week total jumps to 9,000 meters a week total. So that's a big jump. And then we've also got things like the Saturdays. For example, this Saturday we've got a 2.5 hour ride into a 15-minute run. So a little bit more of a brick session where you're putting those two elements together, practicing changeovers and things like that. And then Sundays also does the same. So we have a lower heart rate, a lower intensity bike for 30 minutes, and we go through to a bit of a longer run. So we're combining a short bike into a longer run. So again, that's going to be a lot of practicing those changeovers more and going from bike to running, running to biking. And also things that they've got in here are called pull sessions, where they're doing a minute easy, like building the pace up over a minute, and then a minute jog. So this Wednesday, or let's say Tuesday, it's an hour run, but at minute 10, we're doing 5 1-minute pulls. So in that 1 minute, I'm gradually going to be able to speed up to a higher heart rate and then back into the minute jog. So that's going to be interesting, sort of putting that burst of speed in, higher intensity, and then not being able to stop. The other is to sort of keep moving with a higher heart rate. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this next 10 weeks. So we're going to see how we get on with, obviously, that stuff we said about regarding deep health earlier. And obviously this is obviously more hours in the week, so accumulating to that new volume of training, new intensity of training. There's obviously things that are going to be more demanding. So rest, recovery, managing, you know, weight sessions, that kind of stuff's going to be a little bit more important, and also managing obviously calorie intake and getting good food and things like that. So I'm interested to sort of see how we get on with this. Never done anything like this amount of training before, so we'll see how we get on. I'm looking forward to the fitness gains in this, but also kind of managing the time. That's probably going to be more the issue, and obviously carving out that extra time for, you know, an extra swim. Weekends where it's bike and run, so rather than just being out and about, you know, if I'm elsewhere, I can just go for a run. Now I've got to incorporate a bike into that as well. So yeah, we're going to see how we get on. The last week in this one as well, this last 10 weeks, the weekend ones are pretty demanding. They're almost like 5-hour sessions. So the last Saturday in this is a 4-hour bike ride into a 45-minute run. And in that 4-hour ride, there's 15 minutes at your higher heart rate, so that zone 4 heart rate. So it's going to be interesting going from that sort of like higher pace effort where it's hard to hold, straight into a 45-minute run. I have no idea how my legs are going to feel after that, but I'm sure by that point they'll be pretty strong. Also in this phase as well is the chance to do a standard triathlon as a competitive event. So I'm probably not going to do that. I'm not going to find any standard triathlon that I'm going to go and do. I'm going to save that for June or July where there's a half Ironman. But what I'm going to do on that weekend is do the actual standard triathlon outside. So I'm going to go to the pool, swim on the Saturday or Sunday, probably a Sunday, to replicate that race day. And then Sunday I'll do this morning swim. I'll ride there, I'll get on my bike, I'll jump on my bike, do the distance for the bike, and then I'll come back here, put my bike in my flat, and then or bike wherever, and then I'll go for a run. So I'm going to try and do those standard triathlon distances in a race type environment, but just at my own kind of pace, if that makes sense. So and then save the first event for a standard half Ironman as a competitive event, which I think was one in June or July, I think. So yeah, that is the program. So I'm excited to sort of do that, and obviously incorporate some other training methods, different varieties of heart rates, which would be nice. I think I've accumulated quite a good base level of fitness over the last 20 weeks since November. So it's nice to kind of put that into practice and just sort of get that extra kick of training and spice things up a little bit. Going back to the deep health concept we spoke about earlier, I'm really enjoying the pros of this program, and obviously having that event at the end of September, it's given me a bit of a focus regarding training. It's given me a confidence where doing things that maybe people don't want to do, that discipline and motivation of obviously having something to work for, and that delayed gratification, and obviously meeting new people. It's been really, really cool. So I'm really, really chuffed that I'm doing this event, and it's done me. I'm really pleased that I'm doing it. So there's obviously things that are hard to manage in that, obviously, like we spoke about earlier. But on balance, I'm chuffed that I'm doing it. So it's a good thing to aim for, a good thing to have as a focus. And that was this week's episode. So deep health, and obviously the next phase of training, which is exciting. So stay tuned for the next one. We're going to be going through some nutrition, calories, protein, fats, all that kind of stuff. Seeing what's working, what I've tried, what has not worked, and obviously going through things I'm doing in the session. So stay tuned for that one. If you've got any questions about what I'm doing, I'd love to hear about it and ask me. So I'd love to answer those questions. Other than that, see you on the next one.